are the author of the Co-Founder's Handbook, so lots of experience here, but what are the key qualities or attributes that make a good co-founder for a startup?
So the most important thing that I've learned as I interviewed hundreds of founders is I realized that alignment in values was a unique factor that ended up being extremely important as the glue. So ensuring that founders ensure that their values are aligned, that they really have the same belief in what they're building this business for is an extremely important factor.
Great, Tanis, what do you think about people that try to start a company without a partner or alone? What are the advantages and disadvantages of having co-founders in your company?
Well, ironically, the answer to that is the same answer, which is a sharing of responsibility. So if the advantage is you get to share responsibility, and the disadvantage is that you get to share responsibility. And so I think going in, making sure that you really know and define each other's roles, and being able to go in with that, then you're able to effectively navigate all the requirements that are going to come your way as an entrepreneur during that journey. And I think that's a really important piece, is to recognize you get the benefit of sharing, but at the same time, you need to be mature and intentionally work through that sharing of responsibility.
Do the requirements change? Do you have something new in this field, or we are always looking for the same kind of requirement when we are starting a company?
You know what? It'll depend on your business. You know, your role as a founder will evolve as a startup. Obviously, your company evolves. You never know what's going to be thrown your way. So I think you need to be prepared and not feel I signed up, say, as the CEO, and that means I have to be the CEO for the rest of the time. I think your company and the journey that you're on will begin to define what you do, and don't be so attached to that role. Be willing to be malleable and be willing to figure out where you're best suited, and always focusing, most importantly, on the success of the company. Co-founders are a team, and it's really important to make sure that you remember that and then do what's best for the company.
What is the advice you can give to someone trying to build a strong relationship with co-founders? What kind of strategy they can use to build the company in a better way and have a better relation as co-founders?
One of the things I realized was that expectations not communicated become a conflict later on. So I often tell people, if you expected your co-founder to do something, don't be upset if it doesn't happen because you didn't communicate it. And I think one of the key pieces to a strong co-founder partnership is to actually be very intentional about your communication. And so I think when I'm telling and advising folks when they're building their partnership, think daily, weekly, monthly, annually get-togethers where you're sharing what's going on in your role so that the other person is there and is aware of what's happening. And I think that really creates a strong bond, and it also builds trust, which is really the foundation of a co-founder partnership.
Tanis, if you're not lucky enough to have in your family the co-founders, what advice would you give to someone struggling to find a co-founder, someone to partner and launch a company? And you have launched some companies with the same co-founder, right?
Yes, that's right. I've built 4 companies with the same co-founder over 25 years. I often advise entrepreneurs 2 things when it comes to I'm looking for a co-founder question. First thing I tell them is just keep building your company. Don't stop and wait for you to find that co-founder. I say go right ahead, keep building your business. Because over time, if you don't find your co-founder and you continue to build your company, you take risk off the table. And what that allows you to do potentially is to maybe negotiate a little more equity because it's less risky. So the first thing I say is don't stop building your idea, continue. And the second thing I tell people is to put yourself out there everywhere. It's the most important thing because you never know where that person is. So letting people know, saying, hey, I'm building this company, I'm looking for somebody who's interested in maybe being an entrepreneur and maybe being my co-founder. These are the parameters I'm looking for. And so if you put yourself out there to your network, to the network of your network, and eventually somebody might pop up. So never give up and don't be ashamed or nervous to put yourself out there. It's the beginning of the start of the uncomfortable life of an entrepreneur. That's a great place to start. Put yourself out there, say, I'm looking for a founder, and let your network do the work for you.
But do you think geography is a factor? Like, should you be like in Silicon Valley or, Kitchener here in Canada or tech centers or something like that?
Yeah, we're in a new world now. Co-founders can be anywhere. I just interviewed a set of founders where two lived in the same area. The other founder lived in Australia,
Wow.
and they had never met over 8 years. And they were successful co-founders. So it can happen. Just your intentionality needs to be much more significant. Your communication needs to be on point, but it's totally doable.
What are the tips you could give to manage stress in the kind of environment that we have nowadays?
I want to underline how Mehdi mentioned about getting a coach who can be that sounding board throughout your relationship and your co-founder partnership. Someone who can journey with you through that is an excellent way if you need to navigate a unique situation and to have someone there. And I'll also add, I often do tell people no partners with benefits. That's the best underlying thing that you want to do. But navigating stress, I think what's really exciting about the co-founder partnership, it has the opportunity to be one of the greatest human relationships you can have. And the reason for that is because there's authenticity, honesty, vulnerability that needs to occur in that relationship. And in very few other places besides your spouse, your children, your immediate family, do you get that intimacy. So if you can actually relate with one another and be that piece that lifts each other up during your struggles, you can actually build an incredible human experience that you can look back on in your life. So being able to lean on each other and going in with that mindset, I think is a really beautiful way to handle whatever's thrown at you as you go.
Awesome.
Tanis, Edith, Mehdi, thank you so much. It was great. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.